Hi, and welcome to a new episode of Sparks by Vino Funk. My name is Jeroen, and today we have a special guest from Italy, Enrico Rivetto. Welcome, Enrico.
Thank you so much.
And Enrico, you're the maker of these two wines. You sent it to me. I'm very curious. A Nebbiolo from Alba and a Lange Nascetta.
Yes.
Yeah, but pronounced.
You are perfect. You are great pronunciation. Perfect.
Yeah, and I love the labels. And I thought, this is the best part of the label. But people who follow me for some time know I'm a big fan of organic wines, biodynamic wines, and on the back you see Demeter-certified and organic. So I'm very excited. But first of all, who is Enrico and what do you do? Yeah, you're making wine, but tell me more about it.
Of course, I'm a wine producer, but I have to say that in the last 17 years, when we started a more open, let's say, project of biodiversity in my winery, I cannot be considered only a wine producer, but like a trainer of agricultural organism. I can define myself in this way because first of all, we have to tell to the people who listen to us where we are. We are in a Barolo area, so exactly in the middle of the Barolo region, which is in the south part of Piedmont. And my winery is between two small villages. One is Serralunga d'Alba and the other one is Signo. It's a hill called Lirano. That's also the name that you see on the bottle, Vigna Lirano, for both of these two wines. And I'm the fourth generation of winemaker of my family. So we started in 1902. But 17 years ago, when I was 30 years old, I started to a different approach in the vineyard and of course also in the cellar and of course also on my life. So we decided to recreate one complex ecosystem. Consider that we are in one region, the Lange Hills, the Barolo area, where the monoculture is very strong. So you see vineyards everywhere. But it never been like this. Before, there was a much more differentiation of the cultures. And that's exactly what I try to do right now. So the vineyards are, of course, the most important plants cultivated. But in my idea is to have an organism more complex. And that's what we were doing. We planted more than 1,000 trees. I'm talking about big trees in the last 12 years.
That's a lot.
5 kilometers of biological corridors. What are the biological corridors? Rosemary, sage, lavender, mixed bushes, fruit trees. So something that interrupted the monotony of the vineyards. We have bees, 6 hives of bees. We have 7 hectares of woods. That maybe for you is nothing, but for us, 7 hectares of woods, it's a lot. And these woods are all around my winery. So like a protection, a buffer zone, a protection zone. We have a field where we grow wheat, all the antique cereals, antique variety of corn. We have an area where we make our own compost. We have donkeys. So and everything is on my hill, because also another characteristic very important is that, let's say, 85% of my winery is in the same place. And that's a big advantage. So that's just to give you an idea, a little bit about the history of the winery and the new project. Of course, this idea of changement, it's quite unique in my region. And so I'm experimenting also many things that not always are successful.
No, but that's why you're experimenting. If you know what to do, it's not an experiment.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And you're on the hill, but how high is the hill?
400 meters above the sea level.
Okay.
And we have a pond with water at 400 meters above the sea level. And that is very important for irrigation, not for vines, but for all the other the crops we have. And also for the biodynamic treatments that we need to use natural, rainfall water or water from springs, but not tap water, because we have chlor in the water. So it's not good for bacteria, for microorganisms.
it's very complex. It's not just, you're not a winemaker. You are like the protector of a whole ecosystem. You're the initiator of an ecosystem.
Yeah, we are trying to rebuild an ecosystem where the vineyards is the most important element, but it's not the only one element. I tell you again, Jeroen, that Barolo area, Langhe Hills, is a particular area in Italy. So if you go in the wine region in, I don't know, Sicily or center south, Umbria, whatever, Lazio, whatever, the number of surface of vineyards are not like here very dense and concentrated in one specific region. So you have already a natural biodiversification of the area. In the Barolo region, the area is very small, the land is very expensive, the Barolo is very famous. So this combination of elements, of course, it is difficult to make ecosystem. It's difficult to make biodiversification, also because the costs are higher, but also mentally it's difficult to do this changement.
Yeah, but you're in a very famous area, and you could also think, okay, I'm thinking about money. Let's plant a lot of vines. Let's make a lot of money. But you are thinking, okay, I want to make excellent wines on an organic and biodynamic way to preserve the nature and to preserve because you're not making wines
what?
only for now, but also for the future.
I think I'm thinking also about myself. And it seems like an egoistic way of thinking, but in fact it's not. So if I work in a place that I'm happy to work, and I'm happy to walk in my vineyards, because walking in my vineyards is not just walking in a vineyard. Is a, especially now we are in June, and you walk in my vineyards, you see colors, smell, insects, bees, butterflies will cross your road, and you see the life. My place is alive. This is what makes the difference. Of course, our Dutch people, for me, they were always very inspiring in the way how you trade in your past and how you were making the trade. But at the other side, we have to learn also that we can make trade today and forget, and tomorrow we stop, or we can continue forever or for a longer terms. So I try to think in a medium long terms, but in fact it is also the present, because if I have more life in my winery, I'm sure that you can live better also today and not just waiting for 20 years to see the results. Of course, some results and many results we will see in the future. And it's a question of balance. I decide to manage my winery in according of an idea of balance. So how many bottles I want to produce to live in a good way in my region, in according to my family decision. 90,000, 100,000. How many hectares I need to have to do that? 14 hectares of vineyards, but I have 30 hectares. So what I do in the other hectares, or I continue to plant vineyards and produce more and more and more and more, but after I have problems of the cellar, I have to enlarge, I have to sell more wines. I earn more, but how much I spend, is it sustainable or not? So my idea was, okay, I keep my balance with 7 workers, some advisor who are coming around, and after, if you want, I tell you also my alternative projects. And we build a big, I can say, I don't want to use the word community, but I prefer to use the word organism. Organism made of cells, and each cells can give the talent and the passion and the love. But I don't want to be also not pragmatic, because at the end of the story, you need to earn money to pay the bill and to let your winery sustainable under the financial point of view. So I have to combine these two things. And organic and biodynamic give me a perspective completely different.
Yeah, so you're making a community, an organism, a network, not only with the vines and the biodynamics, but also with people.
Exactly. Because,
But
yeah,
do people in the Barolo area come to you for advice, like you're working biodynamically, organic? Are they willing to learn from you?
That's a good question. This one is one of the most difficult question you ask me, because
Sorry.
no, it's difficult to answer because there is somebody, of course, but the mentality here is very complicated. We are in a very conservative and traditional area. The changements are very difficult and very slow. I have to admit there are some young producers coming, like I was when I was 20 years ago visiting and continue to visit other wineries around Italy to learn. Because if it is something that I learned, I don't, sincerely speaking, we don't know so much about agriculture like we think to know. That's the sad answer. There are some out of 450 producers of Barolo who are working in a seriously in biodynamic. We are in 5. We are 2. I was the first one Demeter-certified, which is a biodynamic certification. I think the most serious today. Now there is another guy smaller than me who is coming in La Morra. But I have to say, if we talk about biodiversity, if we talk about a project like we were concepting, it's very small. The number of wineries is very small. Also because it's one area very rich, that you need to find a reason why to change. Because anyway, it's a famous area. The wines we sell the wines, so it's not a big problem. So why to change? That is the main answer. But if I have to answer also on one of your consideration, I can add something about your consideration, is that I think the wine, it's not the goal of my life, of my job. That's a tool, it's a magic tool that give me the chance that the people listen to me, like why we are here. Not because I produce strawberries of potato. With all respect of the people who produce potatoes and strawberries, I produce here in my garden greenhouse. But the wine is a magic liquid that bring the people on the table and talk about everything. So I want to use this privilege to explain my world, to explain also, to take with me also the experience that I made with other crops like grain. Nobody talks about wheat, but I realized that the wheat is very important, but nobody cares. And the price of the wheat is nothing. We needed to have a Ukrainian war to see the price of the wheat increasing, which is stupid. But anyway, I don't want to go in this situation, but just that you know that I feel to be in a privileged to make what I'm making. So wine, magic tool to explain all my project. Another thing, inside of my winery, we have a educational project of homeschooling. I'm also the president of a no-profit association for children. And I try to put my people and myself, and also a more serious teacher, of course, to give some input to the children for the elementary, for the middle level school, connected with the nature, connected with the physiology of the plants, of the biodynamic, of making the compost, or all these things that I think are extremely important for the future.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of work for just one guy.
But
But
no,
it's
I have
also
also
about having a philosophy, not just making wine, making money, but making a future.
we have to make money. I don't want to say that we don't have to make money. Don't misunderstand me. But I think the money are important. Money wave is a form of energy, but it's not the only one form of energy that we have. Because believe me, when I started this project, young people knock at my door and say, look, I'm in love of wood. I'm in love of bees. Can we do something together? He said, of course, that's my hectares of wood. You would like to take care of this wood? And this lady today, she's taking care of my forest. She's a truffle hunter. She takes the tourist inside and she has passion. Same thing with the bees. It's a guy who said, I know that you are working biodynamic. I would like to ask if I can put my bees in your place. Said, no problem. But you teach me and you teach the children. So connections, fusion. The University of Torino started to come here, 2 ladies from the university, some professors, to study the butterflies, evolution in my winery. There are a project of 7 years. They are growing in terms of numbers. So we have some numbers that we can share. And these people who are coming, going back in and out from my winery generate one energy that you can feel if you come here, and give also some hope to other people. I mean, and I'm happy to do that because it's exciting to see things growing.
Yeah, and it's growing, but the energy gives you also energy, and that gives you more happiness in life also.
Totally. And that's why it's important that the people who are coming here, they need to have heart. So they have to put the heart in front. After, we will find a way for the money. It's not the opposite. We will find a way. We try, we work on that. But the most important thing is that you have to put your talent, your passion, your soul inside. And after, we find a way. That was the idea.
That's a very important part. But we are here also about the wines, of course.
Of course.
Shall we go to the first wine?
Yes, of course.
The white wine, or do you want to start with the red wine?
No. We start with the white. It's okay, and I thank you so much for to show these two wines, which are the two wines more particular of my range, because I'm a regular Barolo producer, so we produce Barolo, we produce Nebbiolo, Dolcetto, Barbera, but the two wines that I can say are a little bit more representing the tradition of the area, but a little bit unknown, a little bit unusual, are these two that you chosen. So I'm very happy. What you have in the glass is a Langhe Nascetta. I think it's 2021.
Yes.
This one is an indigenous white grape variety from the Langhe Hills. So after the World War II was completely disappeared from the Langhe Hills, because in the Langhe Hills, 29% of the vineyards are red wines. No whites, not indigenous white, I'm talking. So this one is the only one indigenous white grape variety called Nascetta. We decided we are in total today, we are 45 producers in total, so not so many. I'm the only one who planted the vineyard of Nascetta facing north. We released the Nascetta after 3 years. We consider Nascetta almost like a Barolo, because if you read the old books, the Nascetta was considered from the French enologists came here in the 18th century to study all the wines, like some German Riesling, and have a very good potential of aging. The idea was, we started in 2007 to vinify this wine, and we changed the approach at least 3 times, because we don't know anything about this grape variety. You know, some sentences written in the books from 200 years ago. So we started to test it, to understand what was the idea of this wine, the soul of this wine. So today, and the wine that you have in the glass, the vinification is a little bit complicated. We have 30% of the Nascetta is vinified in red. So 1 month of maceration with skin, fermentation with skin for a month, in concrete or terracotta. It depends of the year, or it depends of the quantity, because sometimes I don't have the quantity. The other 70% do a cold skin maceration for 3 days. After it ferments with, of course, natural yeast, when the two parts of the Nascetta are finishing of the fermentation, we put together. So 2 parts of the Nascetta, 2 different vinification, but at the end of the fermentation, we put together. We put in concrete tanks, batonnage, and after 1 year, 1.5 years, we bottle. We have, you know, you can feel it from the glass. It's a white one, which a very good acidity, with a very good minerality. It's considered the Nascetta a white one, semi-aromatic, because if you smell the grape, when you pick the grape, it smells like a Moscato, but after 1 year after the vinification, this aromatic part fall a little bit down, it's a little bit going out, and is replaced by more vegetal Riesling, hydrocarbonic, honey-oriented smell. And that's, I think, is the evolution of the Nascetta. Sometimes this wine we also pour at the end after the Barolos. just to play the game and to show to the people how is the potential of this white wine, because the acidity and the minerality can compensate the tannins of the Barolo. So,
and how do people react? Are they in shock? Or is it a dessert wine?
no, and that's a nice thing is to, wow, you give me a white at the end. You know, if you go in Bourgogne, the Chablis, sometimes also the producers of Chablis, they do that. They put the Chablis after the Pinot Noir. So I think that can be similar. And you see the color also, there is a maceration on it. So you can see the color is more yellow, intense yellow. I think the potential, and we are at the beginning of the study of this grape variety. But I think has a great potential, especially after 7-10 years from now.
Shall we taste it together?
Of course.
Yeah?
Oh, wait, I forget. I have also here. But you are the master of the
No. Salute. Yeah, the smell is very intriguing, like a salinity, whetstone with dried fruits, but in a very gentle way. It's not too much in the nose, just gentle way. It's very complicated, it's very complex, but also accessible because the different layers are very well known. You have a lot of fresh fruit, but also dried fruit, lots of vanilla, lots of flower, white jasmine. And then some salinity kicks in, minerality, saltiness, a little bit like clayish, like a clay. And then you get a full mouth and very nice acidity. It's not too high, but it sharpens through every layer.
Consider there
It's
is
very intriguing.
no oak, absolutely no oak.
No,
Just
it has very round and also round mouth structure.
You know, this one that you feel the round mouth structure is also determined because of we do the batonnage in the so we put the sediment in aeration once a month, and that helps a lot to have this a little bit more creamy in somehow.
Yeah, and it's lots of energy, very pure. I think the age potential is you can leave it for 5 or 10 years because the acidity is very well structured. I like it very much.
And that's all.
Could you tell me something about the price point if people wanted to buy this?
I tell you the price here in my winery because of course it depends of which market or which restaurant or which wine store you are going. If you go in Milano, it's a price. If you go here in Barolo, is another price. So of course it's or maybe in Amsterdam or whatever. This one you are buying for around 25 euros approximately. Let's say between 20 to from the seller is between, let's say, you can find on the market in Italy from 25 to 30 euros. It depends on the place.
It's a serious price, but it's a serious wine.
But that's the only one white that we produce, and it's a white that is 3 years of aging. It's a white that is also there is a big cost behind, because before having a wine like this, we needed 7-8 years of experimentation, because we really, it's not like making a Nebbiolo or Barbera that we have some point of refinement. Here we have nothing. So you have to start to do micro vinification, the use of the amphora, the use of the concrete, the use of, and of course, this method that we use, the two types of maceration, is very important, because I like to have is a wine with two salts together, the creamy one and the acid one that have to be put together. And also the idea to put facing north helps a lot, also the acidity.
Otherwise you get a lot of ripeness and then you get a full tropical.
Flat.
Yeah, no acidity. And
exactly.
I really like it. And thank you very much for making this indigenous grape rise again. I hope many producers will follow you, because we need more of this.
They are growing. The producers of Nascetta, they are growing.
Keeping that for a little bit later. Shall we go to the next one?
Yeah.
This is Nebbiolo d'Alba.
As I said before, the other wine, which is quite unusual, is the Nebbiolo d'Alba Vigna Lirano 2022. What is the characteristic of this wine? That's the only one wine, only one Nebbiolo in the area, vinified 100% in amphora. I'm talking about amphora, Georgian amphora, Kvevri from Georgia, and amphora from Tuscany. So we have two types of clay. I tell you this because since, I can say 2014, who was my first vintage, we were changing experimenting many containers made with terracotta, or also porcelain, grass, different type of clay. So at the end of this experimentation, I realized the relation size quality, Georgian and Tuscan are the best one for me. So we started, and this one in particular is Nebbiolo, 100%. And we have a maceration with skin for 7 months. So it's a very long skin contact maceration. And that's the only one Nebbiolo in the market that you can find 100% Nebbiolo with such a long skin contact. Why I decided to make this wine? Because I was curious. Because in Italy, like in many parts of the world, there was like a trend to try some grape variety vinified in amphora. In Friuli, in Sicily, in Abruzzo. And I said to myself, but why nobody is doing here in Barolo, where the Nebbiolo is a fantastic grape variety that historically, traditionally, the contact with skin was very long until Christmas. Why we don't try to do that?
Yeah.
And why we don't try with a container that breathes a lot, so we can keep longer the contact of the skin with the wine with oxygenation, and it doesn't go to, it never go to reduction because the amphora is always breathing. So I started.
It's breathing in a good way.
So I started, and I realized that in the first 3 months, after the first 3 months, the tannins extraction were very aggressive. Not that I can say very aggressive. Anyway, very present. You feel the tannins, you say, wow. But after the 3-4 months, these tannins are starting to build a chain, more sophisticated, more wider. And anyway, even if I tell you that this 7 months maceration, you say, okay, I didn't realize. I mean, you can expect such a velvety wine if I tell you 7 months maceration.
Yeah, no, because when you say 7 months of skin maceration, I think about Georgian wines, structure, lots of tannins, you have to chew on it.
Of course, you
I'm
feel the
gonna try
tannins. Of course, you can feel the tannins. I'm not saying that you don't feel the tannins, of course. And that's also 2022. So you feel the tannins, I'm sure.
You feel the tannins, but in a very nice way. It's still very fresh, very fruity, and lots of.
Exactly. That's the complexity.
Yeah, very different kinds of layers of taste and aromas. Again, a lot of herbs and spices.
Exactly.
It's a great wine.
And you don't have
food.
contact with any other container. No steel tanks, no concrete, no oak. Only amphora. And amphora, it doesn't give any taste to the wine. Sorry, I don't know why. Sorry, I cannot.
No problem.
Sorry, I have to forget to switch off the phone. Sorry. No, I said you don't have contact with the other container. And so I think you have the pure essence of Nebbiolo. I know that seems something heretic in somehow. But when we talk about Nebbiolo in oak barrels, because the tradition says that we have to age, I understand that. But the amphora keep and preserve the wine like it is. Because it's skin. The skin is the wine. So I like this vision because, in fact, you can really feel the essence of the Nebbiolo in this way. I tell you something about the label because you were mentioning about the label. The label was painted by my daughter when she was 6 years old. Now she is 16 years old. And the problem was that this wine was rejected 2 times from the commission of the appellation of the DOC for 2 years in a row. So the first 2 years of submitting, it was rejected like red table wine. So I couldn't call Nebbiolo d'Alba or even Langhe Nebbiolo. I was a little bit angry about that. So not angry, but disappointed, say, look, there's no defects. That's probably, this is the real Nebbiolo. There's no influence of anything. And you rejected to the commissions. That was a form of protest. I remember my daughter was drawing my logo. My logo is this one. I don't know if you can see on the bottle. My logo is this one. And so my daughter started to, casually to draw this, and I like it so much. And I sent to the graphic and say, now I want to have for this red table wine that after it became also Nebbiolo after, I want to have this logo. It was a big logo on the entire. Now it's just a half a bottle, but it was like this. And after 2 years, they were approving me like a Nebbiolo d'Alba. So maybe it was a question of time, but it's just you have no idea how many people ask me who is the graphic of this label, and I said, you give me 5,000 euros and I can make it for you.
Yeah.
I know a very good graphic, so.
Yeah, it's a great story to hear, indeed.
Yeah, I have to say she's a little bit ashamed of that because she said, my dad, I was 6 years, now I could do much better. No, it was okay. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it's about the history.
It's about the history.
And what do you see, because we're talking a little bit about the past, what do you think about the future? The future in your area, but also the future of your wines?
The future of my wines, we have new projects, of course. Now we just planted one vineyard that is a complex vineyard. That I think is the first time I talked to somebody. We call co-plantation. So it's a vineyard with different types of grape variety altogether. Because I realized that the complexity, not only in terms of what you plant in the vineyards like trees, but also the complexity of the number and the difference of variety of grapes altogether, can give a magic balance. That's the goal, is to make a wine with a magic balance combined with different type of indigenous grape variety from the northwest of Italy. And that's the next step. But the next step is to improve the biodiversity in the winery, to have more data on the evolution of the project, number of bees, number of butterflies, extraction of polyphenols, a lot of things. And for sure, that's one of my dreams, it's to create a new cell around the wine of people who can interact. I'm talking about the school. I was talking about, I would say, courses of agriculture, exchanging products. I don't like the word community because it reminds the community of the 60s or something, but it's something like this.
You could call it a network.
A network.
Yeah.
A network where the people exchange knowledge, products, but they have to put the passion and the soul on the table.
Yeah. Yeah, and in that way, you are learning also. You're giving a lot of knowledge, but you're learning also, and you're giving energy, you're getting energy, and making the world a better place. And let's hope more winemakers also like this philosophy.
And I tell you something, it's a quantistic rule. If I do something, even if in a small place, even if in a small scale, the energy that it develops, somebody in some other part of the world can receive it, but it's not magic. That's science, and can do the same thing. Or maybe I'm doing this because somebody else already were doing or inspiring me in a small detail, and the things change. We don't have to wait that somebody will solve our problems. I'm sorry to do that. I don't want to talk about politics, but we have to solve our problems with our, I always say about a concept connected with the level of awareness. So we don't have to expect that somebody do something for us.
And you have to do it yourself.
And if I find somebody who can share with me my same way of thinking, we can do something. Because the mistake of the past is that the people start to do things together, but the level of the frequency was different.
Yeah.
And it cannot work.
That's a good philosophy. When it's come from your heart and you share, who can complain then? Because it's coming from you and you're giving energy.
Absolutely.
And if you don't like the philosophy, you go somewhere else.
Absolutely. That's no problem. But I can see already from my project, the people who come here and they don't have the same, in Italy we say risonanza. I don't know if you can say like this.
Yeah, it resonates. Yeah.
They disappear. They disappear.
It's like when you hear music
Same
and you
thing.
don't like the music, then you stand still. But if you like the music, you're going to start dancing. And you're not dancing the same way somebody else do, but you're dancing on your own way.
Perfect. Perfect example.
Well, thank you very much. Enrico, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for sharing your philosophy, your story, your mission. I really enjoyed the wines. I don't know if they are available yet in the Netherlands, but I will find it out.
There are.
Yeah? Okay. Then I will find some links and we'll put it in the show notes. And when you are in the neighborhood of Enrico, give him an email or a call.
With pleasure.
Same place.
You too, if you come to Piedmont, you are more than welcome to visit me.
Thank you very much.
Grazie mille. Grazie mille. Salute. Arrivederci.
This was a new episode of Spark with Vino Franc. Join me the next time when we have interesting people in the world of wine. See you again soon. Ciao.
Arrivederci. Arrivederci.